Now in its 10th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, live from New York, from Harlem, it's me, Alex, and the Ramble, and we go until midnight tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Chuck Farnham. He is, I guess we could refer to you as the former stunt person on my show. Is that a way of describing it?
Yeah, maybe. You know, I did stupid things for a living for a while there.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. And the last time we were talking, he had gone to Las Vegas. He had all kinds of wonderful adventures trying to get out of a hospital. You know?
I did.
You know,
I'm good.
I think one of the reasons you said they wouldn't let you leave, this is going back to a story we did a couple of weeks ago, but they wouldn't let you leave the hospital. And I think part of that is they're worried about their insurance.
Probably.
About you suing them if something happens. That's why
they threw a piece of were throwing paper at me.
Yeah.
As I was trying to get out of there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is that what happens in a hospital is when you want to leave, they put you in a wheelchair. I don't care if you went in for warts on your hand. They put you in a wheelchair because they don't want anything horrible to happen to you as you're trying to leave the hospital because you'll sue them.
Worst thing that can happen to you in a hospital is not you dying. It's you falling down in your room going to the where you're in the bathroom. That's what they told me. Because the amount of paperwork they have to fill out is unbelievable.
Really?
And how it happened and who's exactly responsible for it.
Well, I've certainly had my share of going to hospitals, not necessarily spending any amount of time in them, but you know, I've had like 2 bouts with cancer. Folks, don't feel sorry for me. It was nothing serious. I know when you say cancer, you automatically, your mind thinks of serious stuff. And the fact is I had a prostate cancer, but it was very minor, and they simply radiated me and then put in seeds, and I'm good to go. Well, not good to go. I don't have really much of a penis left, but you know.
Who does,
small
really?
Price to pay for life, huh? You know, at this point in my life, 84, I don't want to brag. I had a pretty good penis. Okay.
Mine's very small.
Huh? You are?
Mine's very small.
Okay. Well, mine was not that way. Mine was quite the opposite.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Huh?
I said I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I mean, I'm not bragging. I was born with it, and in fact, until I was, I don't know, maybe in my mid-20s, late 20s, I didn't realize that all penises weren't the same size as mine. I thought they all came in the same size.
Mine's the same size I was when I was a baby.
Really? Well, mine is about the size you are now. See, what happened is with all these things of smashing my prostate flat and doing one thing and another, it just doesn't like to come out of its shell that often. You know?
It's kind of like it's already done its job and it doesn't need to do anything
Well, what
else.
I felt at 84 is, okay, you know, I had a lot of use out of this thing, okay? And the fact that it's not working anymore, so what? You know, I had a good time. Thank you very much. I'll see you through this time of pretty much being like a
mourning. You're mourning the youth of your penis.
Yeah. Well, I'm not mourning it. I had a good time with it, and thank you very much, penis. I appreciate it, and I know that you're not up to the task any longer, so I can go along with that. I had good use out of it, and I'm 84. If I lived to be 77, I would have never had that problem, but I'd be dead. You know.
Well, did your penis have a name?
No, never gave it a name.
Little Elvis. That's what I call mine.
You called yours Little Elvis?
Yeah.
Why did you name it Little Elvis?
I don't know. It just felt good at the time. Needed a name, and I thought Little Elvis.
Little Elvis. I
don't know.
Anyway, I'm
Seemed like the right thing to
looking at
do.
something here. Somehow I got on a mailing list for chocolate.com.
Really?
Now, what do you think they sell
Yeah.
at chocolate.com?
Chocolate?
Yeah, that's right, Chuck.
Pretty good, huh?
That's terrific. So, and how they got chocolate.com, I don't know. They probably had to pay a great price for it or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Because they also have caramel.com, and I think they have like peanuts or something like that, cashews.com. And I wonder where they got all of these, because I remember years ago when I was working for CNET,
Right.
CNET made a fortune because in the very beginning, because they were into the internet before just about anybody else, they got all kinds of things like coffee.com and very common things, and they sold them all over the years for millions.
Yeah, I know somebody who had a hotel one that over in Europe, this European company needed that because it was a special word for hotels in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And they wrote him a big check.
Really? I keep waiting for somebody to come to me about GabNet. You know,
Yeah.
I think anybody's doing a talk thing.
Thing would be good.
GabNet's great. Nobody's ever asked me if they could buy it.
Yeah, I
And
got a few.
And it's not gabnet.com. It's gabnet.net, which is really nice, you know.
Yeah.
I like the net as opposed to the com for GabNet. All right?
Sure.
So, anyway. Anyway, I guess so there's this chocolate.com. So they sent me this thing. Do you know what I can get at chocolate.com? They're special this week.
Chocolate?
New patriotic malted milk balls.
Wow.
And you'd say, what is that? You know, what is?
Yeah. Are they red, white, and blue?
That's right. They're milk balls covered with chocolate, but the chocolate is covered with certain colors, which is red, white, and blue. So it's patriotic malted milk balls. Number one, I don't like malted balls.
Well, who does, really?
Yeah. And secondly, the patriotic part of it just doesn't sit well with me because it's jingoistic. You know.
Okay, is this like that bear guy that you had an advertisement deal with that showed up every holiday from like Mother's Day and
the bear
remember
guy?
you'd get those bears?
The Vermont teddy bears.
Vermont teddy bears.
Oh, they were wonderful.
Sounds like the Vermont teddy bear folks.
Do you know at one point I must have owned 20 Vermont teddy bears? Not because I bought them, but because they kept sending them to me. Because I was really good. We sold more Vermont teddy bears than even Howard Stern did on radio.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
People love that stuff.
Well, I also, you know, I would pitch them in kind of a funny way. You know, like,
you had the whole rap that you did was really good and made you want to buy one of them.
Yeah. I said, this
I'll give you that.
is a perfect gift to send to your wife as an appreciation, and with a little card saying, I'm sorry I had sex with your sister.
Exactly.
You know, and I would do stuff like that, and people liked it because they kept advertising. And so I could kid the product all I wanted to. You know, and the teddy bears, I got to tell you, I didn't mind pushing those teddy bears because they were great little teddy bears.
Yeah, no, they were very well done. They were in the stife realm of
and I met the guy who owned the company, the Vermont Teddy Bear Company, and he was like Willy Wonka, you know, or some kind of ethereal, happy, wonderful, sweet guy. You know? And at one point, he finally sold the Vermont Teddy Bear Company, and they still make them, but it just doesn't have the magic that the teddy bears this guy turned out had. So it was really good. It was terrific.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh man, I still got 6 tractors. If you need one,
You own 6 tractors?
yeah, they're out front.
Can you ship one out to me?
I could. It would not be pretty. I like them. I mean, they're cute, but I got to get rid of more crap. That's my.
Well, why don't we try and get rid of them here by telling people you never know when you're going to have a need for a tractor.
Exactly. And I have many, and they're different colors, and I got little ones, big ones.
So he didn't get rid of the house yet?
I did.
So where are you storing these tractors?
Front yard.
Of your place?
Yeah, I got room. I got acreage.
People who drive by think it's probably like a tractor museum.
It looks a lot like a tractor museum, but I'm out in the middle of nowhere. When I was driving to Vegas a few weeks ago, dude, it was yard art central all the way to Vegas. People with one guy had a concrete mixing truck in his front yard as art. It was amazing. One guy had a train. Yeah, yard art, and it's a thing. Yard art. You wouldn't see yard art in New York because you guys don't have any room for it.
We don't have yards.
Right. Well, we take our yards and just put crap in it. Like in front of the house, I've got this flower bed, right? And I had all these doorknobs.
In the flower beds?
Yeah, and I put the doorknobs in the flower beds, and then the little woman.
All I could imagine was that Chuck finally found something to commune with nature, and he had a what do you call it? A flower bed with flowers in it, tulips and daisies and things like that. No, doorknobs.
I put doorknobs in there, and then I started telling.
You see why I have this guy on this show, folks? I mean, he's crazy.
I'm fine, really fine. But I put them out there, and I didn't say anything to the little woman. And she went out to the grocery garbage can or something at some point. And she came back in, she goes, "What the hell's going on out there?" And I'm like, "I'm growing houses, and those are seeds." And she looks at me like I'm crazy. And I go, "Didn't you see that I also use fertilizer?" And she goes, "Let me guess. The fertilizer is the keys to the doorknobs." And I go, "See, now you understand." And she goes, "You're growing houses out front by using doorknobs and the keys to them." I go, "Yeah, that's what I'm doing." I go, "It's yard art, and that's my particular, installation."
Yeah. So let me ask you, I haven't asked you this. Do you have a girlfriend lately?
A little woman.
Huh?
I'm married.
You are married?
I think so. I mean, she's here all the time.
I mean, did you go out in the
Either that or we're very, very close.
See, I didn't know this.
I thought you did.
No.
And she would not be seen in public with me at this point. She did not. It's like she don't want to explain. Who wants to explain me, right? I can't.
Yeah.
So she's like.
I would think that if you had a woman who cared about you and loved you, it would be because of who you are, which is this crazy asshole.
I would think so too. But apparently that's not the case. It's just, I mean, I did it. And then, well, I did tell her there was only going to be one tractor. That didn't work out. Then I brought home a cannon one day. That was awesome. And she goes in, well, it's just ornamental. The hell it is. Yes, baby is real. And so, yeah, I think she puts up with a lot. And let's face it, anybody who's around me much puts up with a lot.
Yeah, but I didn't know that you had somebody. So how long have you been in a relationship with this person?
With the little woman?
Yeah.
See what 12 years.
Wow, that's as long as I've been married.
Right.
Yeah, but you're not married to her.
No, we're married.
You're married. You went out and actually got married. Well, of course, you live in Nevada. You can get married by going to a gas station.
I got married inside the car. There's this gardening shed.
Yes. It's
the gardening shed, and you pull up to it, and they marry you through the window.
Wow.
I mean, it's real, I think, you know.
What made you decide to get married?
Well, I think if you're gonna spend the plan to spend the rest of your life with somebody is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because of insurance and all kinds of, you know, it's cheaper to live. You know, it's cheaper to be married
Mm-hmm.
legally. You care about this person, you're going to be with them forever. So why not?
That's how I felt about it.
Yeah.
When Marjorie proposed to me on Leap Day, which is when women can propose to the guy. Okay.
Okay.
It's Sadie Hawkins Day.
Right. Oh yeah, I remember that when I wasn't invited to any dances at high school. Thank you, people.
Yeah, but anyway, so she said to me, "Will you marry me?" And I stopped for a second, thought about it, and went, "It couldn't hurt." You know, why not? I think maybe that's what I said is why not. And
at some point,
and
you
so
just get old
we got
and you're
married.
like,
you know.
You know, at some point you're old and you're comfortable with the person and you want to continue to be comfortable with the person, and you may as well just, if the government's the only thing keeping you, you know, apart, just do it.
Let me ask you this: do you have joint bank accounts?
No, I don't think we do.
Then I don't think you're.
No, we do.
You're not really married then.
No, we have joint bank accounts.
Oh, okay.
I was confused.
Marjorie and I never had joint bank accounts, but recently, when I got this influx of money, which at this time in my life was a godsend to get, although somebody had to die in order for me to get it, which didn't make me very happy. But as long as it was going to happen, it was. I thank my friend for leaving me money. Okay.
Yeah.
But we never had joint bank accounts. But now, since all this money is coming, we've now combined all our stuff, all our Vanguard accounts and all of that. And, you know, so her money is my money now. My money is her money.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that way until, a month or two ago.
Right. That makes more sense, I think.
Until then, like if we had to pay the rent, she sent half of the rent charge to my business, to me, to pay for it.
You still using Gary?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and Gary has turned us on to another person here in New York who deals with people who have lots of money, and he's putting it in places where we can get to it anytime we need it, but in the meantime, it's making us money.
That's good.
Yeah. So it's all good, you know. But Gary, who's my business manager, folks, he turned me on to this guy. And
Gary's a good guy.
Yeah. And
as was his brother.
Yeah, his brother too, who is long gone, of course. You know. Well, some breaking news.
Buy cone, get a phone, dude.
What's on my watch here? Louisiana lawmakers passed a bill that would make abortion pills controlled substances. Man, are these people crazy? What kind of a shitty country are we living in?
Ooh, when I was in Vegas, I got a new tattoo.
No.
Yeah.
How many tattoos do you have?
Man, I only have like one. I have Groucho marks on my arm. But I can never see it because it's way up on my shoulder, and you know.
Okay, so what is this latest tattoo?
Let me see the latest tattoo. Let me see if I can get this thing into an angle for you. Can you see that?
No. Move your camera over.
Is there a way to hold on here? Man, if I wasn't blind,
just hold
everything.
Your arm in front of the lens, I would imagine.
Huh? I don't.
Well, we just see the edge of it. Now there it is. Oh, you're slowly. Not yet. What is
up
that?
Or down?
What is that?
It's a sombrero alien spaceship beaming up a taco.
I didn't get that looking at it.
Yeah.
Did you tell him what you wanted?
Yeah. It looks like an alien spaceship
Okay.
sombrero, beaming up a
So
taco.
being married, you come home with a new tattoo.
Yeah,
What did she say?
kind of what you just did. What is that? Almost exactly the word
You
that
know,
you
I
used.
would I would hate to be married to you for only one reason. All the explanations I would have to give people
Well, see, that's
about.
the problem with Junior. He comes in the room or he'll go, he'll go, can you keep this short? Because he doesn't want to hear the drawn out explanation. He just wants the data.
Mhm.
You know what the log? Okay, Dad, what's going to happen? Where are we? We're doing where, and then about halfway through my conversation, he's leaving the room already.
No,
I go, do you understand? He goes, yeah. You could have just given me the 2 points there. I'd have been fine.
So
Okay,
where does Junior live?
here.
Oh, really?
I have a lot of space.
And how old is Junior?
I don't know, like 700.
No, I mean, how old is Junior?
Mid 20s.
And he's
Mid,
still
oh, 23,
living at home.
Wouldn't you want to be around this all day long?
Oh, of course, the joy, the happiness, the
Happiness, the
fulfillment,
love.
and having to explain who your father is to your friends.
Yeah, well, yeah, you have to do a lot of that. Yeah, there's. Hey, did you know your dad? You know, every once in a while he'll come in with one of those. Did you know your dad did blah blah blah? I just tell him to never pay attention to the internet.
This is one of the weirdest people I've ever known, and
I'm sorry.
you take great joy in
I'd
that.
like to not be me, but I don't know how.
And what you are is, I think, sensational
Great. I'm glad to hear that,
and
Alex.
highly entertaining. I just wouldn't want to be your wife and have to explain to people.
Do you think I like being me?
Like, for instance,
I don't sit around and go,
they would say, "What does your husband do for a living?"
I'm retired.
Retired from what?
Wife,
You're basically retired from being Chuck Farnham?
kinda, unless I'm in a stupid location where somebody goes, "Hey, I know that voice,"
Mm-hmm.
and then I apologize.
Wow, I'm completely out of sync now. Let me put myself in sync. Here we go. There we go. Are we in sync?
Yeah, I mean,
no, we're not.
you know, I'm slowly retiring from being Chuck Farnham. If I'm let out of the house, it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now no longer leaving the house by myself, by the way.
Oh, really?
Nope. Like, I want to do this train trip, right?
Yeah.
But I'm only going to do it with somebody else because I don't think I should be alone.
Wow.
In case you have, well, what if you have a medical problem? You don't want to have a medical problem on a train by yourself. You want to have a friend there.
Right. Right. I'm trying to figure out. I'm out of sync now. All of a sudden, this happens. I'm buying a new, more powerful computer when I can bring myself to do it. That I think
I am looking at them as well.
Will solve this problem. But
what are you using now?
I'm using the Apple Studio, but it gets down to a small amount of what do we call it?
RAM?
Here, I'll make it freeze here for a second. Yeah, it gets down to a lot of lower memory, and I wind up having a problem with it.
Can't you just add memory to it?
Well,
Can't
no, you
just-
can't. You can't. This is like an Apple. Apple, you can't add memory.
Oh, when you buy it, you can choose different memory sizes.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can add memory.
No, you can't.
I think they're.
I think I could add memory, but I'd have to go down to the Apple store and have them do
Ugh. Talk to the geniuses.
it. Yeah, right.
Ugh.
You know. Well, excuse
yeah,
me,
I've been
folks,
looking
if
at,
I'm
new computers.
completely out of sync, but I can't. I don't seem to be able. Well, wait a minute. That's better. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on a second. There we go. Now, there we go. I'm in sync now. I don't know why I go out of sync. I can't figure it out. But who cares?
It could be the internet speed and not necessarily the memory.
Yeah. We are running out of time here. Can you believe?
No, not us.
And I never got around to half the questions I wanted to ask you. So I'll have to ask you them next time.
Exactly. Maybe then I'll have a new computer.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the weirdest person I know. And I'm happy to call him friend. His
Thank you. Love you, buddy.
name is Chuck Farnham, folks. Bye, Chuck. See you later.
Now in its 10th year, this is Gabnet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Yes, there goes Chuck. Thank you very much, Chuck. By the way, you saw all that out of sync and stuff like that. But we find now with the new computer, that's gone. That doesn't happen anymore. So we're happy with that. Anyway. So we're ready to go do our show. We have 2 people waiting online to talk to us. And that seems good to me. How about you? Would you agree with that? Okay, let me see here. Let me admit these people and get them on here and see what happens. There we go. They're popping in. There they are. Hello there. How are you guys?
Good.
There's Josh and there's Alan. And here comes Brian Neary. He's joining the group. Oh, and he's out. I've never seen him like that before. Hello, Brian.
Hello. Hello.
Are there people making noise out there?
Hey, maybe I'll put myself on mute. Hold on.
Yeah. Where are you? What are you doing?
I'm at a restaurant waiting to get our table.
Oh, really?
A Taco Bell, 34-cent tacos.
I wish. I'm going to end up paying for this one.
Are there 34-cent tacos now?
Yeah, they're advertising it. The CEO of the corporation that owns Taco Bell is not a fan of Trump.
Oh, okay. Anyway, what were you going to say there, Brian?
Muted.
I think he's probably taking the family out to dinner tonight.
What the hell is this app?
So anyway, there he is. There he is.
I didn't know they had palm trees in Lodi.
No. Simon graduated, so we're having a dinner for him tonight.
Isn't that nice? That's very nice.
Oh, look at this one. Look at this one. Hello.
Hello. Well, there she is. Oh, look at her.
Where are you guys going for dinner?
We're at Krung Thai. It's a Thai food restaurant.
I've heard of it. Good food in San Jose or something.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good. Wait a minute. What is this?
Yeah.
What's my problem here? Oh, I don't know why I don't. Why I'm not. Why I can't find out if I have. I should be. This is wrong. There's something wrong here. Let me see here. Let me do something here. I'm trying to. I've noticed that I've lost my. There we go. Okay, there we go. Now we're fine. I was missing something over here. Anyway. Well, don't let us interrupt your dinner. I mean, it's nice of you to join us, but you didn't have to interrupt dinner to do that for us, you know?
No, we're waiting for our table. And I just want to make sure somebody called or,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wait.
We got somebody in here. We got Kilroy was here. There we go.
Right. Half of Jeff again.
Half of Jeff. Yeah. Jeff? Jeff, can you hear us? Huh?
I had to take my earplugs out.
Oh, yeah. Well, now make your camera so we can see your whole face. Can we see your whole face? Jeff, can you hear me? I don't know.
Oh well.
I don't know.
He'll get around to it.
Yeah.
I'm sitting by the front door of my house waiting for Publishers Clearinghouse to show up with a check.
Really?
That's the only way my day could be any better.
Why? Oh, I see. Why was your day good today?
Trump lost all 34. He's a convicted felon.
Yeah?
You didn't hear the news?
I didn't hear about that. Explain it to me. Tell me about it.
Oh, come on.
Really? They convicted him?
All 34 charges.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention to the news today, so
Yeah.
I guess I missed out on that.
Yeah, they really did, and that's why I'm sitting there waiting for Publishers Clearinghouse. That could make my day even
It can
better.
make the
if
day
they showed
perfect.
up.
Yeah, yeah,
He
absolutely.
made the announcement to all of us to let us know. So thank you, Tony.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah, that was quite a thing today. I mean, I figured, there are 34 counts, maybe they'd find him guilty on 10 counts or something like that. All
That's what I said.
34. All 34. And he is now officially, right, Josh, a felon, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah,
Wow.
that's correct.
Yeah.
As a felon in most places, you can't vote, but Florida, Ray said he's welcome to continue to vote.
Who said that he was able to?
Florida.
Who said he was able to continue to vote?
Florida did.
Oh, really?
Isn't that nice?
Oh, okay. But there's certain states where he can't vote now.
Not in California.
Not in California, and also there are places that he can't do a lot of different things. You can't. I don't know why, if in certain states, if you're a felon, you can't vote, but you can run for president.
Yeah, go figure.
That doesn't make
Austin's
sense,
guy
does it,
asked about
Josh?
That, I think.
You'd be a Supreme Court.
Well, it does in the fact that presidential qualifications or qualifications to run for president are laid out by the Constitution, and it doesn't prohibit a criminal record from doing so. You just have to be at least 35 years old and a natural born citizen of the United States.
Why didn't they consider that? Maybe they just didn't consider that any criminal would run for president.
Well, that's a fairly likely assumption.
Well, this is the first president that we have, or ex-president, that's a felon, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or that's ever been
He's
tried.
number one.
Huh?
He's number one.
Yeah.
I hear that RFK is suing CNN because they're not putting him on the debate with Trump and Biden. And Trump says good, and Biden says bring him on.
Well, yeah. What Trump says good? Why?
Trump doesn't want him on the debate floor either. CNN has left him off. People can only vote for him in 5 states so far. For RFK Jr.
Well, I think that to me it's always been wrong, though, that in spite of that small number, okay,
Right.
that anybody who's running for president can't be in a debate. They always used to have this thing where they would run the three people or something who were leading, and they would run them, the Democrat, the Republican, whatever. And then that kind of all stopped. But what they did is they had what I called how when you were a kid and it was, you went to a dinner with your family, they had the kids' table. Well, they had the kids' table for people running for president. Remember, they used to take like the other 3 parties and let them all have at it with some kind of debate which nobody covered. I always thought that was unfair. I always thought that in this democracy where we'd like to encourage as many parties as are humanly possible, that they would allow everybody to have an equal voice.
I think the reason Trump is against it and Biden's for it is because there's been a lot of polls that say that RFK Jr. will take votes away from Trump.
Well, they think that
I don't know
that's
if that's true or not. But
well. Now the question, of course, everybody is trying to figure this one out, and I would ask Josh first. Josh, how do you think this is going to affect Trump's chances for being president, being a felon now?
Well, I don't think it affects among his people for sure, but I think it'll have some effect on, people who are sort of more open-minded about it. I don't know if you want to call them independents or undecideds.
There's everybody talking.
No, wait a minute. We're hearing Jeff
Yeah,
talking.
we can
there.
hear him.
Yeah. Anyway,
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, continue.
or whatever you can, want to label them, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any criminal conviction is good for anybody that's running for office. I mean, there were a lot of people that made the argument that him getting indicted was actually going to be good for him and it was and all that. And I think that only applies to his hardcore supporters who were going to vote for him anyway. But, among one of the people I remember specifically saying it, Chris Christie at least made the argument that, he laughed at that. And he said no criminal indictment is good for anybody. There is no one alive that wants to be indicted for felony crimes. There might be people that say that on TV or whatever, but there is no one sitting at home alone in their room with only their thoughts who says, I really hope I get indicted for federal, for felony crimes.
Golly gosh, I hope it's good for raising money.
Yeah, as much as he talked crap, he sure didn't look happy leaving the courtroom.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't look happy. But secondly, he makes all these claims about, and we were cheated out of a decent trial and blah, 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 blah,
Well,
blah.
he's saying that the whole time anyway.
But wait a minute, but he had the chance to testify, right? And tell his side of the story.
He could have spoke.
And he never did it. So,
that's typical, though.
And, I looked it up just to be sure because he made this argument that they held the trial where we were only at 5%, and only 5% of the people voted for him there. And I looked it up to be sure, and Manhattan is made up of 9 New York City council districts that are what vote in presidential election, and of those 9 districts in all of Manhattan, not just the one with Trump Tower, all the ones that surround it, he didn't get less than 9% in any of them. So the fact that they selected 12 jurors plus I believe 4 alternates, which means 16 people were selected, and that at least one of 16 didn't make it on to the jury, that's mathematically doesn't compute with, it's almost a certainty that someone voted for him, perhaps in 2020, that was on that jury.
I think there's a very good chance of that, if not more.
Correct.
And
I mean, the math proves that out, so.
And yet this was an overwhelming, decision by the jury. It was overwhelming.
So now he has the right to appeal to the court. And if that doesn't go well, then he has to go to the appellate court in New York. And it's a strange name, but that's what it's called. And if that doesn't work, then he can ask the U.S.
Well, appealing is going to the appellate court.
What's that?
Appealing is going to the appellate court.
I understand that, but in most places they just call it another court.
Well, there are two you can use. I mean, you can file for an appeal to the appellate court, and failing that, you can file an appeal. At least that's what happened in my case. I didn't have to do it, but our landlords did it, and they lost both, by the way.
Right.
When you appeal in most states, when you appeal, your chances of winning your appeal are not very good.
His first appeal is to the court that he just was in. And he can't do anything until they sentence him.
Well, once they sentence him, then he can appeal. But
Right.
Usually when he's found guilty, or anybody's found guilty, right, of a felony, after the judge has proclaimed what his sentence is going to be or blah, 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 what's the next thing they do? Yeah.
Lock them up.
Yeah.
No,
They
I'll
handcuff
tell you
him.
why they won't lock him up. Well, in my opinion, his age.
Well, wait a minute. That you're ridiculous there. If you're
No, I'm serious. So wait a minute. Let me go through.
they may let you out the next day or later that day, but you're walking out in handcuffs.
Oh yeah. Well, they'll book him, but that may or may not. They'll book him and then release him, but he's not going to spend time in jail because of his age, because he's never been convicted of any crime, because he's a former president, and you can go on and on. He's not going to spend time in jail.
But does that mean that I can go out and commit murder and I'm not going to go to jail?
No, it doesn't. Any one of us here would be in prison the whole time that this was going on. You know, there was, according to him, there was no favoritism.
Well, Rikers Island, which is the big prison here in Manhattan, in New York City, says they're getting ready for him. They've got a special area for him that's separate from the rest of the prison.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Hopefully they get.
Isn't there a white collar crime prison somewhere out there?
Right.
That's it. That's the prison you go to
that's the
for
one?
everything, and then
There-
maybe you go to a white collar prison. You know?
Right. They can't put him in general population with all the other inmates, so there's probably a white collar crime area. Where did Bernie Madoff go? Didn't he go there?
Madoff, did he go to Rikers? I can't remember whether he was in Rikers, but after that, it wasn't. Was Madoff a federal crime? I'm trying to remember. Because he didn't wind up going to a facility here in New York.
Oh, maybe it was.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm?
I believe it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was federal.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So he went to federal court.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he would have never even gone to
Federal
Rikers.
prison. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody who's convicted of a felony in New York City goes to Rikers.
Lucky
Okay.
them. They get to watch planes take off and land.
Yeah, and then if they are found completely guilty, I mean, then they go to some prison here in New York State. I don't know that. I don't know what the judge is going to do. What I would do if I were the judge is I would sentence him to home confinement with
The thing with home confinement is he can still invite TV cameras in and still preach his whatever.
Well, that's fine. It's okay by me, but he's got to wear that little ankle bracelet and he can't leave the home. you
Right.
know,
Absolutely.
you know.
Which does he have to stay in his house in New York?
I believe so, yeah. If they did that,
Because effectively, I think he says he lives in Florida.
Says he lives in Florida, but
Does.
I don't think this is strange. You see, I mean, he was found guilty here. I wonder if somebody's found guilty here, but they live in another state, and you want to give them home confinement. Does that mean they get to go back to their home state to live in their home for home confinement? I don't know. What do you?
I would think so.
Anybody?
I think they can.
They
They
can.
just have that state watch them.
They
Oh,
did-
Put them
they
on
did
the,
it- they did
put a
it
collar on them or whatever and do it there.
Yeah.
They did it with Sammy the Bull Gravano.
Especially if it was him.
He was sentenced in New York,
Mhm.
and they gave him home, stay at home. They put him in witness protection.
They put him in witness protection.
And then, right after Witsec, then he got convicted of another crime, bringing drugs into the country, and they put an ankle bracelet on him. But he get to live in Arizona or wherever, New Mexico.
I wonder if they put him on community service. He has to clean up freeways in New York or
Oh,
Florida.
that would be cute. I wonder how many points you get for running into him accidentally.
See the guy with the horn on the side of the road. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, I forgot to blow it.
Yeah.
Got a
I
big
did.
brush.
Yeah.
Put him in pink underwear and make him clean up trash on his side.
Yeah. But I mean, it certainly this is a very. Wouldn't you call this a historic day?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
It's not every day that you can get 34-cent tacos at Taco Bell.
Yeah. We're gonna hammer that one home constantly.
No, I'm done with it.
Okay.
I went there to get some fast food, and they had a sign that said 34-cent tacos.
When they say fast food at Taco Bell, that's not the kind of service you get. It's just the way it comes out of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good laxative. It's cheap.
Yeah. But
There's no Taco Bell fans.
you would consider this historic, wouldn't you, Josh? I mean, it's never happened.
Right? No, sure. I mean, still a lot to develop and more to come, but I mean, I think that it's a good thing for future presidents to now understand that the office is not quite as powerful and as whitewashing of things that get done as maybe they were slowly but surely getting used to. So they have to watch themselves a bit, and yeah, it's historic because one, it hadn't happened before. I mean, that makes it historic, but you know, I think later on, as things clear up in the decades past, there'll be a lot of evidence, I'm sure, that comes out in the record that shows that Trump was a pretty bad guy. So I think it'll be vindicated in the long run too, personally.
I, I, I think now that he's convicted in New York, the next trial is in Georgia. It's supposed to start in August, and if he gets convicted there, he won't be a first offender. They might give him a harsher sentence.
Well, that's another local trial. We've yet to go to any of the federal trials, which were.
And those are on hold forever. It's a. I don't know. I don't know what they did. They said in the news the other day that had this guy, the prosecutor Smith, instead of putting him in Florida with the judge that Trump appointed in 2020, if they had done it in Washington D.C. for the documents in his house, he would have been in trial already. It probably would have been over with. So she's trying every which way she can to extend this past.
Well,
November.
they say her problem is not so much that she's pro-Trump, which obviously she is because Trump gave her job,
Right.
but that she's just inexperienced and doesn't know what the hell she's doing.
Now this is a pretty big case for somebody that's inexperienced.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's I think the first or second trial she's ever proceeded over.
As a federal judge, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's a mess.
whatever. So
What do you think, Josh? Do you think they'll put him in jail?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the typical punishment for this particular state crime is. I mean, I've heard it reported that this particular crime is prosecuted very often in New York, many times per year. If you take it out over decades, they've prosecuted this particular statute, I heard, thousands of times, with many convictions. So but I don't know what those folks got. My favor would be, I mean, I would just like to see him get whatever people get that normally break this law. I don't want him to get any less because of who he is, and I don't want him to get any more because of who he is. If
Right.
people who break this particular crime, almost in all the cases are incarcerated for a short period of time, or maybe it's a long period of time, then that's what he should get. If they're not, then they shouldn't be. I mean, we certainly incarcerate people for petty crimes a lot, in my opinion, in the United States. So for him to cry about it, whatever, I'll just ignore that. It happens all the
This is
time.
except for
Well,
this.
that's what the judge is supposed to do. He's supposed to look at
Right.
the charges, take the name out of it, and take into consideration 34 counts and the fact that he also had to reprimand him 10 times for possible contempt during the whole court proceedings, and then the other crap that he was pulling, and take his name out of it altogether, and then put together what could be a possible sentence. That's what he's supposed to do. And it doesn't matter whether it's Trump or not.
yeah.
New
Yeah.
York Times a couple minutes ago posted that the Class E felony, which is what they charged him under, a low-level felony, about 70% of the time gets no jail time, and about 90% of the time the maximum jail time is up to 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people on probation.
But he could, by law, get up to. I think it was
Up
either
to
4
years.
Something like 4
yeah.
years per count or something.
Well, I mean, what he could do, what the
yeah,
judge
that's
could
right.
do is charge him, sentence him to 4 years, suspended sentence. That's possible too.
Absolutely.
But then
a
it
lot
goes
more.
on the record, that he got 4 years.
Yeah, oh yeah. And if he screws up again, then they could revoke that and take him to prison.
You got to realize he's now 2 for 2. This is the second trial he's lost. The other one was the other one that took place here in New York. But that
And
was
that
a
still
civil
hasn't
case.
gone to the appeal yet, has it?
They have to do it within a certain amount of time, and I'm trying to remember what the amount of time is.
Up to the state.
If they don't do it within, well, no, I think they filed it already because I think they had to file it within 30 days, the appeal, something like that. And if they don't, then they don't get an appeal.
Well, he came up with 175 million, so
That was what it was. They had to come up with that money. He came up with it, and so the appeal is official.
right. I'm wondering when they're going to try him on that.
Well, they're not. They don't try you. They do. The appeals court looks at your arguments about why you shouldn't be found guilty or whatever, and then they make a decision based on that.
Wrong
know.
choice of words by me. I understand.
Yeah, there's no trial.
You're right. Wrong choice of words.
Yeah, and if the appeals people don't rule in his favor, it's all over. It's all she wrote.
There's a lot of money.
Because in my case, our landlords went to the appellate court, and then they went to the Court of Appeals. There's also a Court of Appeals, and in both cases, they were rejected by both those
Yeah.
groups.
I'm waiting for the new Melania My Pillow to come out, or something like that, to raise more money for him. I don't know.
Well, I'm getting a little tired. I wish he would change his act a little bit. I think we're all getting a little tired of his wee, crying.
And we have no idea what he wants to do other than go after everybody if he becomes president. He has no agenda how he's going to fix the country.
Right. Because
we
he
don't even know who his vice president's going to be.
all he's ever done is cry and moan.
Yeah.
That's all he's done.
He's a big crybaby.
But I just want to know, and if there's anybody out there listening to me who can tell me right now, why would you vote for this guy? He's a felon. He's a rapist. Okay? Come on. This isn't the kind of decent human being you want to have leading our country. Now, I'm not saying that you should vote for Joe Biden or want Joe Biden, but certainly to want Trump. I mean, I'd even understand if you said, I love Ron DeSantis, okay? That's your opinion. But he doesn't have this baggage on him. I mean, this guy is a convicted felon, and in a civil suit, he had to pay out money because of a case of, they didn't get him on rape, did they? Initially, they got him on saying nasty things about the woman who was charging him with the rape.
And then he couldn't keep his mouth shut the second time around.
Yeah, and then the second time he did it, and then they charged him even more.
Yep.
I wonder what the judge is going to do about the penalties against Trump in this trial for, violation of the gag rule.
I don't know. He'll probably take that into consideration when he sentences them. What is it, July 11th or something like that?
July 11th, yeah. I don't know if that's a sentence hearing. I don't know if that's actual sentencing. Would that be actual sentencing,
Yep.
Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
They're going to put
Supposed
him
to be.
with Tony for a week. He'll go crazy.
Yeah.
I got a couple of questions for you.
Yeah, well, you ask me a few questions, Tony.
You know what I would add? You know what I was going to ask you, Alex? I was just reading an article on Rudy. I didn't watch Rudy go live today, but now Rudy chipped in. Rudy's following the same plot line of Trump. He's calling this a Marxist plot to take over the country. He's saying that
a Marxist plot to take over the country. Would you please tell me where the Marxists are these days?
and it's the demented dictator, Joe Biden. I'm going to tell you something.
Demented dictator.
Yeah,
Joe
this
Biden.
is the words, and I'm not. These are the exact words from Rudy Giuliani. Rudy, who said, remember Rudy who says he stopped the mob. Really, Rudy? You mean as soon as he took office, they never did business again? He's a fucking liar, this guy.
Yeah, no.
I heard him call Biden a communist and a Marxist the other day, and I mean, I guess if I were Biden at the debate, I would just be like, hey, if you can go right now to the chalkboard and spell communist and Marxist back to back directly, I'll fucking drop out of the race right now.
Well, you know what I don't understand?
It's crazy.
This whole idea of, communists, they're communists and they're Marxists and so on. that ideology doesn't even exist anymore. It hasn't existed for 50 years.
No, as I told it was Patrick and Kevin the other day, one of the things that helped the fascists succeed was blaming it on the Marxist and the communist. If you don't remember correctly, Hitler was all about the communists and the Bolsheviks and Russia and blah blah blah, and it went on and on and on. They fucking bitched and moaned about them and got everybody all riled up about it. So,
if you're working in Hitler's style, what you do is you create a myth of some kind of a horrible looming thing going on out there.
Yeah.
And then you tell everybody you'll fix the problem. But it doesn't even exist.
Exactly.
It doesn't even exist. I mean, I'll tell you, I'm a big lefty, right? I knew... No, but back in the 50s, I knew some people who were communist sympathizers and so on and so forth. But I got to tell you, I haven't bumped into a communist or a Marxist in 30, 40 years.
Yeah, well, they were probably taken out by the loco Mexicans that came from the insane asylum.
Yeah. Today he was again he was talking about the Mexicans who were coming from the insane asylums and were rapists and whatever. And he says, and I'm getting convicted? What?
Yeah, you
first of all, point out one of those rapists, will you? I can point one out.
You.
Hold
the mirror up to him. Does it look familiar? Who is this guy?
all the things all the things he has accused the Mexicans of, he's guilty of himself. It's just amazing.
Well,
it's bizarre.
I mean, how long do we have to put up with this moron?
I'm really hoping I wake up and I read his obituary. Really,
but like,
wouldn't that be great, Tony?
Oh man, I'd rather.
I'd buy you. I'd buy you tacos, Tony.
Oh,
it's just interesting. Like I said, that there was this huge narrative in the late 30s in Germany about communists and Marxists and the Bolsheviks and all that. It's just interesting that all this about Biden really developed in the last couple of weeks. I didn't really hear the key words Marxist or communist.
I didn't hear it either till recently.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just interesting that it's evolved into, I said, if you can go to the whiteboard and you can spell communist and you can spell Marxist and you can get both of them correct, I'll give you some of my votes.
Yeah. Well, these people who are yelling and screaming, they're Marxists, they're communists. You ask them just to define the communist and Marxist.
Yeah.
They can't define it. They don't know what they are. They just heard they were somebody terrible. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Hey Alex, when I heard, my brother texted me from the city because he works across from the courthouse for 311. And when he texted me, I was barbecuing my hamburgers. I was like, 30. He says he's all guilty. I says, no way. I ran back. I turned this thing off. I ran in the house and I was watching CNN. I was like, holy shit. And then I went over to Fox. It's like Judge Giannini was losing her fucking wig.
I turned over there. I turned over there. Yeah, I turned over there.
Did you see her, Alex?
No, I didn't see her, but I saw those other people telling me about a trial I never heard existed.
She was like spitting fire. They must pay her a lot of money to put on a good performance.
Well, I don't know why they haven't gotten rid of her years ago, because she's gotten Fox in a lot of trouble from time to time.
Judge Judy?
What's her name?
Janine.
I yell at her. I call her an idiot.
Janine Pirro is her name?
Yeah, that's her, yeah. My mother and me hated it. We used to yell at her. I said, my mother thought she dated Trump. Was that true?
She dated Trump? I have no
That's
idea.
what my mother
thought. Woman could have dated Trump.
I said, I don't even know. How many you can throw anybody against the wall, it might stick. I said with this guy.
Well,
she hated her. She thought you wore a wig. I said, I thought there was a red hair there. I said.
Anyway, I tuned them over there, and I was just listening to what they were saying, and I was going, "Come on, what world do you live in?"
I had to go over too just to see how they would react.
Believing in a democracy. Would you agree with me on this, Josh and Kevin? Believing in a democracy is believing in the tools of that democracy. And one of the biggest tools of a democracy that we have is the American judicial system. And holding it in some kind of respect and allowing it to go through its process. Trump had every chance to get his word in court. You know, he didn't take some of it. He had bad lawyers, I have to say. I think they really were amazingly bad. So maybe it didn't work on his behalf, but he certainly, with the money he has, the power he has, had all the basis for getting himself the fairest possible trial he could get. And he was given a lot of leeway in all of this.
He was.
More than you
he was
and
given
I.
more leeway than a normal person would.
More than you and I would ever get.
He got a very fair trial. He had fair. I don't understand what his issue is. He got everything that anybody else would have gotten and more. He got a lot of leeway. He should have been pulled for contempt of court after at least the fifth one.
Yeah, but
and he still got away with it to the 10th.
Yeah,
and he still walked away. He had a contingency of lawyers there that probably won't get paid because he lost.
Janine Pirro, it's somebody, Charlie? Is this our Charlie? Charlie said she dated Bernard Carrick.
Oh, the other crook, his friend in crime.
That's
whatever.
We did jail time.
Well, that's what's his name? His partner.
The trial was fixed. Yeah, right.
Rudy knows the criminals. He does business with them.
They set the whole trial up. It's just a fix. Yeah, they did this whole thing. They set it all up months ahead of time, and it was all fixed.
Bernard Carrick was down there. Bernard Carrick was down there at his trial one day, wearing the red tie and
Well, that's if I were ever on trial for anything. That's who I hope would show up.
Well, I have a very good friend. I have a very good friend. Her name is Judith Regan, and Judith Regan was a publisher, very famous publisher here in New York, Regan Books, and I got to know Judith, and I think the world of her. And we got along really well. She was working at Sirius XM, and I used to have her come on my show. And one night we're down in the village somewhere. We were getting something to eat with a bunch of people or whatever, and she and I are walking back to her apartment. And I said to her, I understand you went with Bernard Carrick. And she said, oh yeah, I was a number with Bernard Carrick for quite a while. She doesn't deny it. And I said, Judith, I look upon you as a very intelligent, decent woman. How could you possibly have anything to do with Bernard Carrick? I mean, just knowing him is enough, but having, a relationship with him? And she says, call me wrong. I'm attracted to power. That's all she said to me about it. She didn't make any excuses for it. She says, I know it was a bad judgment on my part, And then I asked her about Giuliani and Carrick. And I said, are they criminals? And she said to me, I'm quoting her directly, she said, you have no idea.
Believe that.
So here was America's mayor, and all she could say about him was, boy, is that guy a crook.
There you go.
So
I think it was all smoke and mirrors with him. I think whatever he got, they probably gave him to make him look like he was doing something. Rudy.
In fact, I asked her about these things on my show, about Carrick and her, and she said the same thing. She said, I'm just addicted to power. She says, I like powerful men, and he was a powerful man. And at that time, he's lost a lot of weight. He was a big fat pig.
Yeah, he was.
So it wasn't even that he was an asshole. He was a big fat pig to boot. So when I said, how could you have a relationship with him, it was on two different levels there, But the fact is that whole group, whether it's Trump or Giuliani or Carrick or whatever, they're all modern day versions of the mob. Okay? And one of the members of the mob just got convicted.
Theoretically, yeah.
And this is making up for lost time. I mean, he should have been
he's
convicted
he
years
danced
ago.
in the raindrops probably for his whole life, I bet you.
What?
He probably danced around the rain for a while to finally hit it, meaning like, the law caught up to him.
Well, I mean, he's gotten away with it for years. Just sneaked by,
Yep.
And so this time they caught him, And
I was so happy when I found
You know,
out.
had he not ran for president again, a lot of this would probably not be coming up.
Do you think
well, then what you're doing is you're agreeing with him that this was Biden's desire to see him get convicted.
No, there's no proof of that.
No,
He keeps saying it, but there's no proof that Biden had anything to do with it.
Of course not. But what you're saying is giving credence to that.
Yeah.
When you say
I'm just saying that if he didn't run for president again, they wouldn't be going after him as hard.
I think he'd be in a lot of trouble.
You
I
think
really
so?
do. On any number of things.
Okay.
I mean, he had been pulling off scams for years.
Oh, definitely.
And it was only a matter of time before they nailed him on one of them.
Yeah.
And the only reason he wanted to be president is the same reason that Netanyahu wants to keep the war in Gaza going, so they don't put him on trial.
Right.
He thinks that this is some kind of a protection against
the
going
world
on trial.
has been shot down by other countries, including Biden. Biden shot down the World Court and said this is not a fair move to try and put Netanyahu.
Well, I think Biden is wrong, and that's why I'm not voting for him.
Okay.
I think he's completely wrong. When you're talking Gaza, you're talking about a human tragedy caused by another human being, and that human being is Netanyahu. He just doesn't give up. He won't be happy till that whole place is dust, and he will inherit a desert. What?
I think that's what he's shooting for. He'd like to push everything with a bulldozer into the sea.
Yeah. Meanwhile, there are children and there are women and there are old people and there are a lot of people that want nothing but the best for their families, and they can't have it because Netanyahu won't let them live in any kind of semblance of peace. So, whatever. But, So.
I was talking to Phil Alex today. I said, "Will you call Alex?" He says, I don't think he was gonna. I thought he might call tonight, but maybe I'll call
I
tomorrow.
haven't heard from him.
I talked to him. He's not going to call tonight.
Why not?
I don't know. He said, I'm not calling.
Yeah.
I said, why not? Give us the other side of the story. He said, nobody's going to believe me.
He's too busy baking the cake with the king.
Well, what was his side of the story? Did he say it to you?
Oh, well, he says it's a kangaroo court.
Yeah, that's what he told me. The kangaroos are out.
I'm not sure he knows what kangaroo court actually means. But
I don't even know what kangaroo court means.
Where does that mean? Is that just like a term?
Where does it come? Where does the term come from? Do you know?
I don't know.
Australia.
Thank you. There we go.
Well, Australia, but what? A bunch of kangaroos got together and held court? I don't know.
Is that like a term, Alex, saying it was fixed then? Like, it was in the bag. Like, he was already guilty.
They're using the term rigged.
Oh, that's what
Well, I mean, Trump uses all these terms like it's a witch trial. I would like to interview Trump and ask him one single question. Where were the original witch trials held?
Salem, maybe like Atlantic City.
Atlantic City, right?
Alex, what about this one? He put on his that Truth Social. He's a political prisoner. Come on.
Not a prisoner yet.
Next, he's going to write a book called Mein Kampf. I mean,
and misspell it.
Huh?
And misspell it. He'll spell instead of mine. Yeah. He'll put M-I-N-E.
Doesn't this scare you a little bit, Josh?
I think he's a crazy guy.
A lot of what he's doing is just all out of the Hitler playbook.
Yeah, I mean, did you ever think he?
Wait, I'm talking to Josh.
Yeah, I was going to say, boy, it doesn't sound like Josh.
I'm sorry, guys.
No, I mean, look, again, I get really careful at making, statements about those two men or trying to say that
because if you do, if you compare Hitler to Trump, you're really besmirching Hitler.
Yeah. But look, I mean, I'm just saying that there's no denying that the propaganda that's messaged out there and the machine that puts it out and the methods and all that mirror very well the blueprint that Nazis used to gain power in the late 1930s in Germany.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, like, that's the thing is you have to remember, we think of Hitler now as the 1944 or the 1945, suicide in the bunker version of Hitler, not as the elected guy that people were really happy got elected in the 19th. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there was a time, that's what I was telling you, was they got to a point in Germany where people were very proud to tell you that they were not only a supporter, but that they were a member of the party, and we have a lot of that here, and it's okay to be, a member of a party here, to be proud of it and, want to express it and all those things, right up until it becomes violent or you refuse to accept, things like election results or the results of courts and things of that. I mean, when you stop playing within the system and you only accept things that fit your agenda, that is very dangerous, obviously, and I think that's where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're right there at, we're like on the front porch of this whole thing. I mean, it's very close. It's very dangerous. It could go a lot of ways. I mean, I still think we have an excellent system and things that safeguard against this and good people and good leaders and places in this country. And it's still, so many of the things in this country still rely on the people that run them. The democracy and things like that are as good as the people that run them. And I still think in so many cases there are going to be people or generals or whatever scenario you want to lay out that would hear something on the phone and just say, I'm not doing that. That's never happening here. I'm not doing that. And I will raise up an army and beat you to death before I would carry out such an order, So, I mean, I think those things are here. And it is different than it was, in Germany. Those things had eroded over time, but we're in the process of eroding them here too. That's why I think if we just need to get past this election, get this loser out of the way so we can move on.
Re-strengthen.
Right.
See, that's that.
And so we can also let Biden let it become the communist country it was always meant to be.
Sure.
Yes, Jeff.
I mean,
I think we ought to forget often that Trump somehow hires or motivates a whole bunch of people who are people who've gone to prison, who've killed other people. And remember, he tried to get the vice president who worked for him, try to get him killed. What do you have? 500 people came in and blew up the building.
Yeah.
And some people said that just today that he had a whole list of prisoners who were there at the show.
Where? At what show?
I mean, at the
trial.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I heard that.
Have any of you heard that? You mean that there were people?
No, were they outside Jeff?
I mean, people who attacked the Capitol at
There
his
were
trial.
people who were there today, inside, watching
The trial.
when they were making the decisions.
I don't
He
think.
was there.
I don't think so. I didn't hear that. And I'm
I
sure
know, I was very surprised when I heard it. But I
and
heard
I'm
it.
sure if there were people there doing that, okay, that there were people there doing that we would have heard about it on the news. The people over at MSNBC would make a big deal out of it.
There were criminals who were supporting him, not making trouble, but
I mean, outside,
Talking
maybe
about it.
outside of
It
the
could be
outside of the court building.
in the courthouse, wasn't it?
In the courthouse. Huh, I didn't hear anything.
Where the judge
like that.
was.
Didn't hear anything
The
like
judge
that.
was.
Yeah. And the judge, by the way, has gotten all kinds of death threats.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and his wife was his wife there after him, and his daughter, I think, also.
Well, his daughter was attacked by Trump
Yeah.
for God knows what reason. Oh, yeah, because she gave to the Democratic Party. She gave money to the Democratic Party. Like that isn't her right, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe this judge will have a heart and give Trump 4 years, take him into custody right there and then.
That'd be nice.
Well, to begin with, he'll be able to get out. You know, he'll post some kind of bail, and
There's
say
no
it's on
bail
appeal.
if you're convicted of
No,
a
but
crime.
if you put it on appeal, you can appeal to the judge to let you out on
Yeah,
bail.
but he'd still sit in jail while the appeal's going
No,
on.
I'm saying though that he can ask the judge to let him out on bail while he is doing the appeal.
He could.
Am I right, Josh?
I think you could ask for that, but they don't have to grant it.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
That
thinking.
judge has a lot of power.
Well, I think the judge is going to have to be practical about what he does. I mean, you know, I mean, are you going to throw this guy in jail? I don't know. You know.
Probably not. But
Like I
you
said,
know,
it just depends on what the normal, what's the typical route they take in these cases. I mean,
Well, he's going to show. They're going to say, oh, you know, he's never been convicted of anything else before, and he's been a leader and member of the community. And by the way, have you noticed he's also former president of the United States?
and he may be the new president of the United States.
Well, that has nothing to do with it. I mean, I don't think at any point he says to the judge, well, Judge, I can't go to jail right now. I have to go run a campaign. Bullshit. That has nothing to do with the fact that you're guilty, right?
Yeah,
That's like the dog ate my homework. I'm sorry, you know? You chose to run for president, but we chose to put you on trial for some malfeasance of the law.
It's one of
that
the reasons he didn't get contempt of court, though.
What'd you say?
It's one of the reasons he didn't get nailed for contempt of court. That's one of the reasons he said that he didn't, because he could be the president of the United States. He said, you are,
Yep.
you know, that was one of his comments, is that you could be the president of the United States. So I'm not really going to throw you into jail, but I could. So you better shape up. That was one of his comments.
And he was getting that hall pass based on the fact that he had been the
Correct.
president and
So-
was running for the presidency again.
So
You know.
that could be a consideration.
Yep.
Well, next time I have anything happen to me and I have to go to court and the judge wants to throw something at me, I'm going to say, hey, wait a minute, I'm running for president.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that'll work.
Well, anybody can run for president, right?
Yeah.
I was
As long
taught in
as you got a birth
school.
certificate.
Anybody can grow up to be president. And
Well,
Trump,
remember when
Trump is proof of that.
yeah, I'm saying, absolutely. Yeah.
remember when he said that he wanted to see his daughter, his son, go to school?
No, go to get his graduation. Son's graduation from what, grade school or high school? High school. And
So-
so he wanted to
he
go to
went,
his son.
right?
Yeah. So he went and then immediately left. Didn't go to any of the other functions that would go along with that, and went off and held a rally somewhere. I think it was the one here in New York, as a matter of fact.
And then he might have been in the Bronx. Was that the one?
Yeah.
He was in
Yeah.
South Bronx, I think.
Yeah, he hasn't done any kind of campaigning in New York City, well, ever, really, to speak of. You know.
He does every day when he comes out of court.
Yeah, I love how he holds that behind the fence, the metal fence. It looks like he's behind bars.
I'm sure the
Yeah.
really. I'm sure the Secret Service, have to control the area. So
Wouldn't you like to hear somebody
And
yell
today
from-
he came on and he came out there and he started Did you hear it at all? He started rambling.
Yeah, he was like losing it a
Yeah,
little bit.
it was totally rambling.
he thought he was going to get away with this.
He certainly didn't work very hard at it. Plus I think he ran out of good lawyers because nobody who who isn't willing to wind up working for free will work for him.
Well, I think Trump told his lawyers, do this, don't say that, do that, don't do that, don't
Because
say
he's
that.
the smartest person in the world, right, Jeff?
Well, I know
The one good thing he did was not take the stand in his own defense.
He should have. He was
No, Tony, it's a bad move.
He could perjure himself.
But when he complains that he wasn't given a fair trial and he wasn't allowed to mount his own decent defense, he had the ability to testify.
He did,
I understand why, but because he didn't, he can't complain about that.
Yeah, he does complain anyway.
What were you saying, Josh?
I mean, they're the ones that called 2 witnesses. They could have called 10 more if they'd have had legitimate people to.
Right.
And the witnesses they had were just
presented.
Weren't they pretty ridiculous? The witnesses. I'm trying to remember who they were.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They could only find 2 people, and both of them were.
I just don't think they did enough homework. I think they could have mounted a much better defense.
Well, he didn't have the dream team of lawyers, as he doesn't pay any of them, and they're not going to work for him.
I wouldn't take that guy's case, too. Why would you?
Well, nobody ever gets paid. These lawyers never get paid.
Right.
And their names are mud.
I mean, that's not Giuliani, that's not the fault of the people or the fault of the court. So, that's the fault of the defendant.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
But for legal purposes, he had competent defense. He had very well-known, very good, very high-paid lawyers. So
let's see if they get paid.
It's not as if he's on death row after he had a public defender trying their first murder case, right? Now, sometimes those folks have some decent arguments, that I happen to agree with at times, And I do happen to agree that if the state is going to take your life and can spend unlimited resources to do it, even if you are a low-life piece of garbage, you should probably have someone who's been out of law school for more than a year and has tried a murder trial before. I think that's fair.
I think so, too.
Not what was done to him. You talk about unfair. Now, that's unfair, right? He got a personal escort with the streets blocked to court every day, had his ass kissed all the way in and all the way out, and lawyers who probably have a house that costs more than I'll make the rest of my life.
I saw him going home tonight, and he had it was like a 5-car group, and cop cars both behind him and in front of him with the lights flashing. I don't get that in nighttime commute traffic.
And Alex, he had to turn around and go back to Manhattan because there was too much traffic to get to the airport, they said.
No, he wasn't going to
backtrack back to Trump. He wanted to get out of New York tonight, they said. That's what they were saying.
I don't know. Can he leave New York now? I guess he can.
Sure.
He has no bail pending that I know of.
Yeah, there's no bail.
That's what they said.
Yeah. But I didn't hear.
He tries to hit the expressway in rush hour.
Let's see. The 2 kids were there. Yeah. Tiffany was there. Tiffany showed up.
Oh, she showed up. I'm losing track of all these kids.
I was waiting for his son to correct him, saying that we're going to win because we're white.
He did say it.
He did say
it. What he meant to say was he meant to say because we're right.
Yeah.
But he accidentally said because we're white.
That's right. It was funny.
You should be black. You might get off. Oh man,
in New York.
What a shit show.
You like it or don't like it? It was the best fucking episode of Law and Order I've ever seen.
Well, when they sat there and they started reeling these things out, and they were coming through, convicted.
Yeah,
I figured at least 1 or 2 of these things they would go no.
Somebody got to do something, right?
They don't take it as a blanket and say you're convicted on all of them.
We should have did a bingo thing on that.
Each one of them and say.
Well, each one is a separate count. Each one is a separate count and a separate indictment. And they had to. They didn't have to agree to all of them. They could agree to half of them, and the half that they found him guilty on, they could then say, well, what should we? How should we play this out? What should he have to serve? They just all agreed, the entire jury, on 34 counts. That's pretty damning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it is.
I flipped over Fox News and
it's hard to get 5 of your friends to agree on where to go out to have a drink.
Yes, right, exactly. Well, there's our theme playing, and boy, what a day it's been, I'll tell you.
Tomorrow should be fun, though, with this. Judge Jean's going to go into menopause again after those counts came out.
Oh no, she went
I
into
turned around, I wondered
believe
if
me,
it was.
she went into menopause a long time.
Can you go into it twice, Alex, for a woman or no?
No,
Maybe she
no.
gets the
Only
back-
you can, Tony.
Only once per
My mother's
person.
laughing in heaven right now.
Yeah.
He
But
hated that
anyway,
one.
thank you so much for joining us tonight, Josh, and last night as well, especially in this time of real legal issues, which you're good on. Okay? Thank you so much for joining us. Alan, thank you for being here tonight and supplying us with a lot of misinformation, which we always enjoy, because that's the basis of our current society, is all the misinformation we can spread.
I think I'm going to vote for Trump.
Oh, don't you dare.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Jeff, thank you so much. Down
You're
there.
very welcome.
Yeah, you're in where? Georgia, right?
In Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it, Britt.
Kevin, great seeing you here. Maybe we'll see you again tomorrow night. And Tony, again, very nice to have you here. Everybody give a big wave goodbye.
Good night, see
And
you
I'll
later,
give
guys.
a big wave goodbye at you, okay? There they go, folks. That's our citizen panel for tonight. Our good friend Amy Manuel is next here with The Intersection. She'll be on right after this, taking your calls at Gabnet Live. I'll see you tomorrow night. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, of course, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody. See you later.